Some of my favorite advice for automotive photographers that are just starting is to get out, go to the car shows that not a lot of people go to, and start talking to people. When I first picked up a camera, it wasn't to take pictures of cars. In terms of the actual shooting of a vehicle, my biggest gripe is people not using a high enough f-stop.
Hey, what's up?
How's it going?
How are you, man?
How are you?
It's good. It's good that we're here today. Thank you for driving all the way from Hamilton to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, guys, we are here back with the Urban Story, another episode. I have my friend here, Tommy. Just met him last time in the event, a Sony event, and we have connection. And I interest in car. He doing car photography as well. So, Tommy, can you introduce a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So, as my wonderful friend Tom also just told you, my name is Tom. I shoot cars and collections mainly, sometimes street, sometimes portrait. I do have a passion for animals, so animals sneak in there sometimes. I've been taking pictures since grade 5, I think. Graduated high school 2014, 2015, so somebody better at numbers can do the math at that. Just been doing it ever since. It's something I put down for a couple years there and have since refound passion in. And ever since, it's just kind of been all I'm doing.
Can you let us know what you are shooting with today? What camera, what lens you're shooting?
Yeah, so today I have my Sony A7R II. Paired to that is a Tamron 28-75, 2.8. It's the G1, nothing special, but it gets the job done for a very good price. I got 4K, 30 FPS.
So we can shoot some videos too.
Yeah. I mean, it's
great.
not 60, but it's still 30. I mean, I just learned DJI still makes drones that shoot in 30 FPS, so it's not too bad.
Okay. So today we just walk around the street, taking some photos, showcase what is Tommy looking for in his art. We gotta go and let's see how it's go.
Cool, let's go.
Talk about car, you can talk all day.
Absolutely.
So walk me through how everything started.
When I first picked up a camera, it wasn't to take pictures of cars. It was actually because I grew up in a home with my maternal grandparents. And my grandfather always had a camera. He always had a DSLR ever since I was a kid.
That's nice.
So as I got older, obviously got a little more interested, and he made it possible for me to go buy my first camera.
What is your first camera?
It was a Nikon D5300.
Oh, you still own it, or you already,
No.
It's already retired.
Oh yeah, I got rid of it some time ago. So he said, hey, if you ever want to start taking pictures, let me know, and I'll make sure that happens. So I told him, and he said, all right, let's go get you a camera. So we went, got me a camera, and then I was starting to think, okay, what do I want to go take pictures of, right? So at the time, had a group of friends in the car scene. We used to go to a weekly car meet there in Hamilton. The locals would probably know it, called The Pit.
Okay.
Happens on Queenston and Nash. We used to go there and just hang out, spend time around cars, time around like-minded people. And eventually that started to grow into us coming into Toronto for things like the Canadian International Auto Show, Import Expo. And I started to really see some cars that genuinely sparked my interest. And I wanted to be able to show the people who didn't go to the car shows what I saw at the car show. So I just started bringing my camera to car shows. And whether that was anything, whether it was the Sunday night meet in Hamilton, whether it was my buddies parked at the highway complex because there was a Tim Hortons there. An old buddy of mine owned an NA Miata, and that was my first, okay, if I'm gonna take pictures, I'll grab his Miata. And then honestly, it just kind of spiraled from there. I started taking my knowledge of my tools a little more seriously. Understanding the exposure triangle, what all the buttons and contraptions and the finger dials do, how it affects the image, and then just getting good at that. Or not good, but maybe more comfortable, more familiar with just the functions of the camera. How the f-stop changes how the photo looks. The shutter speed changes the light, etc. I've never really thought about this. Once you kind of got to where you're comfortable with the camera and you're not really thinking about, okay, what are my settings? You just kind of, When I really started to notice that some people were saying, hey, you have an eye for this. Like, the pictures you take of cars they don't just feel like pictures. I think I know him. I don't like speaking of my own work like that, so I won't say that because I don't think anybody ever said those specific words to me. But that was really when I started to notice that people were saying, hey, like, there's something here. Like, whether it's just something I was good at, whether the people around me were seeing, okay, these look more than just a picture of a car. I'm actually using foreground, depth of field to isolating the subject, lines in the background to leading lines. Just simple things that apply to photography, but weren't really being emphasized within the automotive world. Something that I didn't do intentionally, however, has become made aware to me now. So now I do it a little more intentionally.
What is that?
My style has grown to shooting cars within an environment. So, I mean, we live in an environment. What does that mean? I like my cars to be somewhere. Whether it's something as simple as a shipping bay, whether it's a graffiti-filled grungy back alley. I like to be able to tell the story of where the car is, along with what the car looks like, what features it has, what color it is, things like that. And I feel like it allowed me to start telling stories with my photos, but it was still just car photos. I was able to apply myself a little more creatively while still just capturing cars traditionally. And that's kind of where I've found what I like to do is find somewhere where I can tell a story through a set of photos with the car, more so than what the car is, where it is, what it looks like, textures in the background, details, colors, patterns, lines, more than just matching the color nice or making sure there aren't any signs or no parking signs or things like that. Really going a little step further and looking at texture, colors, patterns, things like that. Well, some of my favorite advice for automotive photographers that are just starting is to get out, go to the car shows that not a lot of people go to, and start talking to people. The more people you know and the more people that know you and know that you take photos, the better. This line of work is, you're dealing with people. And if the people you're dealing with aren't willing to speak to others about you, you're gonna struggle to find work. So if you're able to network efficiently, productively, eventually you will grow a network of people that know you take photos and want you to take their photos. In terms of the actual shooting of a vehicle, my biggest gripe is people not using a high enough f-stop. If you're trying to get an entire Ford F-150 in focus shooting at f2.8, you're gonna struggle. If you're looking for that compressed background, but a sharp image, look for a telephoto lens that at least shoots f4. I'm talking anything above 85 mil, 105, 135, whatever you can find. That is when you will get an entirely sharp car with that nice blurred background. I think some people start to confuse compression with aperture. Yes, aperture does control depth of field, but it also controls how much of your subject is in focus. That little square in your camera indicating what you're focusing on, the aperture number decides how much of that thing is in focus. So if you're shooting a big truck at f1.4, f1.8, f2, you're not gonna get the entire thing in focus. Don't be afraid to shoot at f4, 5.6, 6.3, 7.1, whatever you need to get the entire subject in focus. That is more important than a nice blurry background with trees. And then utilize depth of field with detail shots, more compression, things of that nature.
That's a good advice, man.
That's probably my number one. I see so many people just go out, buy a 7R4, turn on the subject detection and just shoot everything at f1.4. Sure, that works if you have subject detection. But if you don't, and you're shooting everything at 1.4, you're sacrificing your own quality of body of work just because we're trapped by this beautiful number, 1.8, 1.4. We get caught up in the trap of depth of field. But you ask any longtime photographer, any longtime automotive photographer, portrait photographers too, they will tell you, do not be afraid of higher f-stops. That's really when you start to see how sharp your glass is. That's really when you get to see the definition of your sensor and how good it really is.
So when you shoot in car, how's the angle is gonna look like? You know, when I first saw, I don't know how to shoot cars, so
sure.
What is the angle you recommend?
So I would do a bit of research because there are standard and traditional vehicle positionings and compositions that can be used and applied within your environment or location of choice. Most commonly is the front 3/4, where you see both front headlights, the front side of the vehicle that's facing you, and one rear taillight. The rear 3/4 is the opposite. Both taillights, the side of the car facing you, and one headlight. Front dead on sounds just as it sounds. Rear dead on, just as it sounds. The side profile, perfectly flat on that. You start there, work around the car. Once you start working around the car, you'll start to notice pieces of the car, body lines. You'll start to notice definition, details that you'll eventually want to capture. Then you start working towards those. You start working towards details, moving around, getting interior shots. And again, I learned the most from doing a photo shoot, getting home, going through the photos and realizing I didn't shoot that one thing. I didn't get that one angle that looks really good. I knew I should have did it and I didn't do it. So you do it again the next shoot. That's the first picture you take the next shoot, the one you didn't do the last. Because now, then your next set, you've learned that lesson, you've applied the knowledge, you're progressing yourself as an artist, you're learning. And that's all anybody can ever ask of you. Mm-hmm.
But before the shoot, how you repair, how you know get to know the car, how you warm up, you know,
Sure.
How is the process in that?
It's very important, actually. And again, something else that took me a long time to actually start practicing. When you schedule a photo shoot, specifically automotive, you're dealing with one specific vehicle, a specific model, a specific chassis. The more research you can do into the quirks and features of that vehicle, special color codes, chassis numbers, interior options, exterior packages, why it has the rims that it does. If you don't do the research beforehand, you may miss those details. The suede interior, the color match stitching on the seats. you'll never know if you don't look it up. I personally, I'll go on YouTube and look up Doug DeMiro. He owns Cars and Bids. He does these videos where it's just the quirks and features of popular vehicles. He walks you around the entire car and he tells you about these little things that most people don't know, or things that are very commonly missed with popular vehicles. I'll go watch Doug's videos, listen to what he says, see if he shows something that I missed, that I never knew existed. If I were to enter the automotive photography industry today, firstly, I would attend as many free, commonly occurring car events, meets, shows, anything possible. Don't be afraid to shoot for free. Most of the work on my Instagram are free shoots, or pictures from free car events, or even events that you had to pay to enter. Speak to as many vehicle owners as you possibly can. The more familiar they become with you, the more familiar a name you become within the niche, the industry. And let your work speak for itself. Show people what you're capable of. When you post with intent. Don't just post to post content. Because when clients go to your Instagram page and they have to keep scrolling to find anything interesting, they're not gonna send you a message because they have to keep scrolling. They're just gonna think your content is filler content. And if you think your client is stupid enough to not be able to tell the difference between a passion project and filler work, your clientele's not that silly. It's obvious when there's passion in the work.
What do you think about street photography? Like, because you also doing some street photography, right? What is the most interesting things in street photography that make you, love to doing it?
Okay, so truly, I think what a photographer can see on the street is very indicative of their artistic style, their experience level. In layman's terms, to me, it really shows what the photographer's made of.
Okay.
If they can see, we'll wait.
You got it?
No.
I know, man. Sometimes it's so fast you cannot catch it.
I just cranked the finger dial, and I guess it only went down to 1/15 of a second.
Oh.
So it was a little blurrier than I hoped, but
It's okay. It's okay. That is what the interesting in a street, right? Sometimes you have a moment that you not repair and
sometimes there are happy accidents. Absolutely.
Yes, and like in those quick moments, it teaches us, to be more repair. When you're doing street photography, is that something that you think about?
I think being prepared for that quick car, being prepared for that person walking through that very thin line of light, you have to be prepared for that quick moment, because on the street, things happen in a blink of an eye. And by the time you get the camera up, and if you're not ready set, you're playing with settings, picture's gone. Preparation is very, very important in knowing what your settings are, what to do, how to change them, how to change them quickly, and when to change them. And when knowing to just not change it. You know it's good, you know it's been working, and then you're even more comfortable to just bang, and you're good. I think a lot more of street photography that's important, maybe 60-40. Overall preparation is just experience. You need to get out.
You need to get out. That's a good word.
You need to be outside. You need to be outside doing it. I like to use the analogy of it's like telling somebody how to drive manual. you can talk their ear off till it's blue, but until they get in the car and start pressing the clutch, they'll never actually learn how to apply that knowledge. So the same thing goes to me with cameras, photos, long form, short form content. If you haven't done it once, how can you genuinely expect yourself to do it better the second time?
True.
Mistakes happen so that you learn the lesson to not let that mistake happen again. That comes down to shooting film and having a dream shoot. You're shooting a beautiful car out in Canmore Mountains, and your settings aren't right. All of a sudden you wait 3-4 months to develop the film. It's all gone. If you don't know what you're doing and you don't make that double, triple check, accidents happen. But I bet the photographer that I'm referencing right now learned a pretty big lesson in checking their settings before they start shooting.
Even me. I just have a problem. I just have a problem this morning as well.
Yeah.
So we shoot the introduction, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, I just realized from the last shot, I've been putting at 60 FPS.
Oh.
And then I have to change it back to 24, so we have to reshoot it again.
Yeah.
So, you know,
absolutely.
like mistake happen.
They happen. And I don't want to say allow the accidents or be open to accidents, but if they happen, there's less to do about harping on yourself for making the mistake and more of what you can learn from it to not have it happen again. Getting out and shooting and doing it and making the mistakes and being willing to make the mistakes. If you're not willing to buy a film camera, a rack of film, and go shoot, and be willing for that film to come back empty, what are you doing? On a separate thing, shooting film, somebody a lot smarter than myself said, shooting film photography is a conversation with failure. Shooting digital photography is a conversation with success. You shoot film, you have a limited amount of attempts to get it right.
Have you ever shoot film before?
Shortly, not for commercial work, paid work. It's actually something that I want to re-get into. It's something that I've been away from for some time that would be interesting to get back into. Actually, an idea that I've had that I've been passing off to a couple people who've also told me it's probably not the best idea, which also makes me want to do it more, is buying a Mamiya 645, which is medium format film, and essentially doing my entire portfolio from here on strictly on the Mamiya 645 medium format.
That's crazy. Is that the challenge that you put it out for yourself?
So I think that's exactly what it would be. It would be challenging myself as an artist. It would be challenging myself as somebody who pretends to know a bit about photography. And it would challenge myself in what I'm actually good at, what I'm knowledgeable on. And I think it would be really cool to have my entire portfolio strictly on the same body. I don't know about film stock, I haven't gotten that far, but like medium format, all on the same body. I think that is a really neat idea. I think...
Oh, I would love to see that, man.
Me too. I think it could be a lot of fun. And that's something we all kind of need to remember is the majority of us picked up a camera to go have some fun.
Yes, correct.
And if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. Now, sometimes learning can be not fun and mistakes can be aggravating, but in hindsight, that's kind of fun.
At the end of the day, you need to be fun to be creative, right?
Exactly, yeah, it's kind of still fun. Or going out for street shooting and not seeing anything cool, just nothing. No cool people, no cool hats, no cool animals, no cool cars, just nothing. You go home and...
Still have fun.
That's it. Did you have fun? Maybe not. Will you have fun tomorrow? Yes, because you didn't get anything yesterday. You're going to be more motivated to find something tomorrow. And that will also challenge you as an artist and progress you as an artist. The deeper you look into things, the further your knowledge is expanding. You take a photo and you say, oh, that's kind of nice. Somebody else goes, hey, that's really nice. You go, okay, thanks. And there's just that one thing that's bothering you about it. And your next shoot, that's the only thing that's in your head. Wrong aperture, maybe you didn't line something up right. If you're able to apply that knowledge to your next shoot, you just became 10 times better than you were yesterday.
True.
And
little things gonna work, like 1% better every day.
1% every day. I love that you just said that. I've said that to a good friend of mine. It was Chris. 1% every day. That's it. 1%. And again, forward, outside shooting.
So what do you say about street photography?
Yeah, so I believe today street photography looks different than what it used to be. And that is okay, but it's also the definition that seems to be changing that kind of bothers me. A lot of street photography today seems to be snapshots, seems to be just quick, bang, like there's just quick shoot from the hip, not a lot of thought, things like that. To me, street photography is the documenting of the human condition. It's how we are as people today. Street photography 30 years ago, you see texture, you see architecture, you see color, you see intentional frames. Today, I see a lot of quick snapshots. I see panning shots where just nothing is in focus. You didn't hit it, so why are you posting? But
I think some people, they think that's the art,
And absolutely, and that's the important thing here. Art is subjective.
Yes.
And so are opinions. Opinions are subjective. These are my opinions, these are my views. That doesn't mean I'm correct. That doesn't mean I'm even right in saying what I'm saying. That doesn't mean it's not how I feel. Like I prefer to take the artistry of photography a little more seriously than the rules of photography. I think rules are A, meant to be broken, but B, the photography rules are guidelines to teach you how to take photos to find your own style. And if your style is following the photography rules, your style's the same as everyone else. And that's probably why your photos look the same as everyone else's, because you're following the same rules. You're color grading your photos the same. You're using the same kind of backgrounds. You're shooting the same subjects, shooting the same subject different ways in different days. That's all beneficial. But to me, that's not street photography. If you're not documenting life today and how we are as people, to me, that's not street photography. Now, something as simple as a photo of a road that has been the same road, the same cobblestone since the 1800s. Since the 1800s, yeah, I could see just a picture of that being considered documentation of the human condition, because I guarantee somebody else has been taking those photos for the last few years. So there's progression. You get to see what it used to look like to what it is now. And again, that's why it's important to remember that art and opinions are subjective. Just because I'm a little more strict on what I consider art doesn't mean that's how everybody should operate. That doesn't mean that I'm right. That doesn't mean that I have any grounds or ground under me to stand on to justify these feelings. But that doesn't change how my heart sees it. See what I mean? You didn't come out today, you'd never see the guy bondoing his quarter panels on the side of Queen Street, wherever we are.
Spadina.
At Kensington Market, wherever we are.
So the good thing is that, you know, like you take a street photos, but it still follow your interest.
Yeah,
It's about car.
Yeah, and truthfully, that's where I feel I struggle the most today. Because I spend so much time around cars, I'm always worried about losing the eye if a car's not in front of me, you know? It's something I'm very consciously aware of, that I like to, that's why I like to get out on the street. That's why I like to shoot dogs. That's why I like to take pictures of dogs.
It's happened last time, a couple episodes, we're talking the same. The word is just like,
see,
man.
like with us, it's okay.
Yes.
We know we're not talking about, but just shooting like, like that's why I like to take pictures of animals, because it's so different, and it keeps that passion, the learning, the always feeling like you're never good enough, the never feeling complacent. A lot of people like to say curiosity killed the cat, but I like to say complacency killed it faster. I have seen more people lose careers, their lives, their safety over complacency than I have curiosity. Now, that's personal, but complacency seems to be a disease that is quite uncurable. So the more that you can keep yourself on your toes, learning, always feeling like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna go out today and try to figure it out. That's when you make progression, when you learn, when you actually feel, wow, I did something cool today. And the problem is, the first thing I think of is, oh, how could I put a car here?
Have you ever going through any creative block?
I think yes, but it probably wouldn't be constituted as a creative block. The closest thing I can compare it to is the couple years that I put photography down in my late teens. Life happened, you're young, you're learning, you don't really realize what you're good at, why you're doing it. You're just kind of living. And then all of a sudden things happen, trials, tribulations. And then all of a sudden you're looking for things to do. Looking for purpose, looking for motivation. And that's when passions will re-find you within your life. There's 991.2. That's when passions seem to refine themselves to you. And that's exactly what happened to me.
So like you stopped doing photography for how long?
For 5 years probably.
Okay.
I was doing it for probably about the same, if not maybe a couple years longer before that. Put it down for 4 or 5 years, and it's been two and a half years solid since. And I don't see any more creative blocks coming my way.
So how you keep yourself motivated to create something?
I think motivation is a couple syllables away from dedication. If you have something in your life, like I have photos that you believe in to yourself that you want to take seriously, you're the only one that's gonna pull yourself out of the chair and go outside. So to me, I don't find much trouble in grabbing my camera if I'm just going outside. Even if I'm going somewhere with a purpose where I wouldn't be able to take photos, that still doesn't mean I shouldn't bring my camera. In a roundabout way, I think more what I'm trying to say is it comes down to the person and how bad they want what they want. If you want to get better at something, nobody's just going to hand you the skill. Nobody can just pass off their knowledge, their skill to you, and you obtain no knowledge on it. You have to do the work. You have to go to school. You have to sign the papers. You have to do the homework. You have to do the on-site placements. You have to do it. You have to go out. You have to get better.
So the way you say is that the thing to keep your creative flow is that you just go out and do it. You know, like once you plan it out, just do it.
I think to put it in better words, yes. I think to keep yourself moving, to keep yourself interested, to keep yourself dedicated, I think varying your subject matter is important. Just varying what you shoot, when you shoot, conditions you shoot in. Like to relate to cars, not a lot of people like to shoot cars in overcast weather because the light's not good, you don't have any light to play with, no shadows. I love shooting in overcast weather because the lighting's smooth.
Consistent, eh?
It's consistent. You don't have to deal with harsh shadows. Normally there's just the little shadow underneath. But I never even considered going to shoot in overcast weather until I heard somebody say, I will never shoot if it isn't sunny. And I thought, why? Like, you never gonna take a night photo? Like, you're just never gonna do long exposures? Like, at night is how you practice long exposures for during the day or anything like that. If you're not willing to do it, how do you expect to get better?
Yes.
Changing your subject matter, changing the conditions you allow yourself to work in, and keeping people who are willing to motivate you around you. You keep good people around you, and all of a sudden more good people are going to show up. You're going to start doing better. The people around you are going to start doing better. It's because good people want good for others. I'm sorry, I'm getting rambly. They're uncommon, probably.
What inspired you so that you get into car photography? What inspired you the most? Is it the car that you love, or is it just something that you want to have a story that attached with it?
I believe I have memories of going on a drive in a 1990, 1991, I think, green Mazda Miata with a family friend at the time when I was probably not even old enough to decide what clothes I wore that day. The pleasure of hindsight has shown me that ever since, I've started paying attention to cars that sounded like that looked like that were sporty, that were different than just traditional pedestrian vehicles. The interest in cool cars was always there before the photos were there, but I think it was kind of two passions that came together. I think my interest in cars and my interest in bettering my own knowledge with a camera, I think they just kind of happily joined.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think it was something that I ever intentionally set out to do. Like, I want to be a car photographer for the rest of my life. Have I had that conversation recently? Maybe. But not when I was 10, right? I think it was just kind of something that I had the camera.
Okay.
I was going to the car meets.
Okay.
I thought, what's the harm, right? And then what's the harm turned into, well, that kind of what I do, like something I enjoy, all the way to this is, when we were in school, this is what people knew me as, Tom that had the camera. I was hanging around a group of buddies that did like cars, so we were known kind of as car guys. So again, I think it was a match made in heaven, if you will.
That's a good match.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Have my partner partake in a lot of cool experiences. I just got her a ride in an RWB. Some people don't even know what RWBs are.
I don't know. Can you explain a little bit?
Sure. RWBs are essentially a branch of Porsche, of aftermarket bodied Porsches, mainly 911s, that are, the kits are either directly designed and installed by one man, or the kit is made, purchased, and then installed by yourself. Actually, whoever the car owner is will cover his flights over, have him a place to stay, give him a place to build the car. His name is Akira Nakai, a Japanese artist, and I would say art hero of mine.
Is he inspire you?
Yes, I firmly believe he took an idea and said, this is my purpose. People started paying attention. They started paying attention to his dedication. The fact that he doesn't use any power tools. The only power tool he uses in the installation of these body kits is a small power handsaw. Oh, we can walk. There's a small power handsaw. That's it. Everything else is done by hand. He marks all of his lines with tape by eye. All of his caulking smoothed out with the tips of his fingers, all by eye. And every single car that Nakai-san touches, builds, produces, they're all perfect, picture perfect. Every owner's happy. And Nakai-san is literally traveling the world, obviously all over Japan, Canada, the US, everywhere, just to build these cars that are around like-minded people that appreciate his passion for what he does, his talent, his dedication, his craftsmanship, and the community that comes around with RWBs and the car culture in general. But with RWBs, the fibers of family are a lot stronger than just a car club, you know?
So what is the challenge that you face when you first start, your journey as a photographer?
I'm sitting here thinking about it. I started taking pictures when I was pretty young. A little younger than I probably should have, because I wasn't putting a lot of conscious effort towards the photos. It was just something that I kind of had. I just always had the camera, so it was just something I was always doing. I think one of the largest struggles for myself at the beginning was staying motivated. Was going out, experiencing failure, not getting anything interesting, not finding any interesting people, not feeling satisfied with the photos, and still convincing yourself that this is something you find enjoyment in. Whether you took that photo where everything feels worth it or not. That's kind of when you decide whether it's worth it.
Okay, so example, you have a shot, right? And it's a good shoot. How you feel? Like, is it achieve something? Or, you can make another one better than that?
Well, with that, I don't ever feel satisfied with my work. Now, I understand when I take a photo and it's the photo that I wanted to capture. There's satisfactory with that, knowing that you were able to do that. But to say, if after a shoot that I feel, wow, I could drop the camera tomorrow and be happy, that doesn't exist. To me, the last shoot is irrelevant if you're not applying the information you learned from that shoot on your next shoot. So I think the honest answer to the biggest struggle that I experienced when I was starting out was asking advice from people who didn't know what they were talking about and being given bad advice in saying, yes, this photo looks great. No, this photo doesn't look good. You did too much with the colors. You didn't do enough with the colors. I think one of my biggest struggles was getting bad advice from people who weren't qualified to be giving it.
When you first start?
Yes, when you first started, because when I was young, I didn't have like a friend my age who was also into photos. It was my family. So when I reached out to somebody and said, hey, what do you think? And you immediately get negative responses, after you'd only been getting positive responses from people like myself and my family, that's very debilitating. That's hard on somebody young to say something like, find a better career before you get too old, or whatever things I've heard. The things themselves are irrelevant. It was a really hard lesson for me to learn that not everybody who shares their opinions matter.
You have to be selective.
For your own sake, for your own sanity, you have to consider the source of what information you're being given in any circumstance. If somebody you know isn't the best at always telling the truth, why would you just expect them to just always be honest? Somebody doesn't know a lot about history, why are you asking them about World War II? If somebody else doesn't take photos to the extent that I believe is the bar, whatever bar you have, why should you care about that opinion? Mm-hmm. They don't do what you do. They don't do what you want to do.
They don't live the life that you really want.
So I really think the honest answer is being given bad advice from people who weren't qualified to give it. I want to be him when I grow up.
You can apply that into your real life, things that you learn from photography. Mm-hmm. What is that?
I have a good answer for this. So I spoke previously, briefly, about getting into photography and learning the exposure triangle, shutter speed, ISO. But something that I'd say has always stuck with me, I'd say it's almost underneath my skin, is the difference between shooting at f11 and f1.4. Mm-hmm. f11, everything's sharp, everything's crisp. Not really a lot of depth unless your composition's there, but not the point I'm making. But at f1.4, your subject's the only thing in focus, right? To me, there's a life lesson in there. You keep what's important in focus, blur everything else out, all of a sudden you have a reason, you have a purpose, you have a story, mm-hmm. you have something to go off of, you have a subject. Mm-hmm. So I got it tattooed on me.
F1.8.
It's...
So you focus in things that you need to do.
You find what is important to you and you put 100% of yourself into it. If you're not putting 100% of yourself into it, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're wasting your own time, you're wasting others' time, you're not doing it for yourself. Mm-hmm. So being able to actually find what really is important to you and what that sentence means. Once you know it, you know what to hold on to. But you have to find it, and you really have to learn what the sentence of what does it mean to you means.
Yeah, man, thank you for your time. You know, like right now you have to take your drive back to Hamilton, so it's a long way. I'm not gonna keep you too much here. I appreciate the knowledge, you know, the tip and trick that you show, because I'm interested in car too. Maybe one day we can shoot some car together, you know?
Please, I would love to. I'll send you a message my next automotive shoot. We'll get you out.
All right, man, thank you. Yeah, so yeah, before we go, I just want to, you know, ask you one thing, and I just want you to say that, because like the thing is like, I want to know what is the one message that you want to give it to your younger self, or you know, someone who just started the journey.
If you find yourself in a situation similar to mine, where you start and you're just having fun, you're just enjoying the passion. Say you post some work. I think everybody's experienced somebody saying, hey, your work's not good enough. Like, in whatever words they use, that's the point they're trying to get across. I think if you were to ever experience something like that, my experiences have taught me, if you convince yourself that you're not going to stop until you prove them wrong, only greatness awaits. I think that is what creates dedication, what creates motivation. If somebody tells you to stop or your work's not good enough, you have to fucking prove them wrong.
That's good, man. Thank you. So yeah, thank you for your time. Do you have anything that you want to say? You know, like how's you feeling so far about the trip?
I just want to say thank you. This was a phenomenal opportunity. I'm not good in front of the camera. I have been nervous about this, and you have been nothing but kind. You have been nothing but a gracious host, and I am thankful for you. I'm thankful for this. I'm thankful for the memories we shared today, the memories you've captured today. I am thankful for this. I'm grateful for you, and thank you. Thank you for getting me to come out here.
Yeah, thank you really for, you know, like giving me an opportunity to document, you know, and then talk with you and share your thought, your story. Yeah, so maybe we don't have like a lot of photos today, but you know, we're still doing good. We still have a lot of conversations, and yeah.
I'll take the responsibility for more the lack of photos.
No, it's okay.
I did mention I'm not that great in front of the camera. I wanted to give Thomas my best self, and the best way I can do that is to focus on the questions he's asking and to be able to give good responses.
I appreciate for that. So yeah, so guys, we just done another episode of Urban Story. Thank you, Tommy, for being here. We have a good time. I hope that you guys see his work. So Tommy, where people can find your work on Instagram?
Yeah, my work is on Instagram. My handle is Tommy LCDS. That simple. Or you can search up my name, Tom Deachman. There's a second account there that I also own that will link to my main page.
Got it. All right, man. Thank you for your time. Thank you guys for being here from the City of Love, Toronto.